Okay. Uh, Tell us a little bit about your childhood, Ron. What are some of your greatest memories?
Yeah, I guess I was always an outdoors person as a child, even. And my dad would go on vacation. We would go to Barbie Lakes. That's in Illinois, northern Indiana, I mean. And I enjoyed that fishing. But I did a lot of, as a kid, running around creeks and the river that were close to our house, catching all kinds of animals, wild animals, and looking at them and raising crows and raccoons and possums.
Was that always in the winter or?
No, mostly in the summertime.
Okay. What about in the winter time? What did you hunt for?
Well, winter time, I did before the stream would freeze over. I did trapping for muskrats
Okay.
in the fall, and that was one of the income. That's when I was able to buy my first rifle from the income off of the muskrat hides.
And how much was that rifle?
I don't remember the cost on it. It was well, I think it was $130 or something like
That
that.
must have been a lot of muskrats.
Yeah, they only get $2 a hide usually, roughly that much.
So what was your favorite animal to hunt?
Oh, hunting, I guess back then was rabbits, squirrels, and sometimes we had pheasants. But pheasants came a little bit later in my life there because we didn't have any earlier until they started turning some loose. But I always hunted rabbits and squirrels.
What about deer?
No deer
No
at
deer.
all. No, there wasn't any deer in that area I was a kid.
Okay.
But now you in that same area, you can see deer now down there. But it wasn't when I was a kid. They were all going there.
Okay.
We had our deer we would see in northern Wisconsin.
Um, Tell us some of your favorite stories about you getting into mischiefs.
Mischief, I guess. Well, one of them I got in trouble. I guess Dad and Mom had some wine in the refrigerator, and I drank a half a glass of it. And then I started getting dizzy and went out in the shed out back and took a 3 hour nap. Fell
And
asleep.
how old were you back then?
Oh, probably about 10.
Okay.
And then,
What about smoking?
yeah, and then one other time, I was probably mm, about eighth grade, I guess. And I had one of these, what do they call them? Oh, the little cars with wheels on them. You push them down the hill. I forget what they call them anymore. But I had one of them in the backyard. My mom was cleaning the grass around the house, and she looked down and she looked and saw under the hood there. There was a metal can of Prince Albert tobacco and a corncob pipe. And she saw them things, and when we had supper that night, when I went in for supper, she had my plate covered, and when I removed the covering off of the plate, there was that corncob pipe and the tobacco. They said, "Well, you better have a smoke before you eat, because you're not going to get anything to eat if you smoke."
Whoa.
And that was the last of that. I never did smoke after that, and never have since.
Well, that's good. That's good. Tell us about your fishing in the Wabash River.
Oh, that we had Little River and the Wabash River kind of ran together there, about a few miles downstream from where I was. But I did a lot of fishing in that river, carp, and you get smallmouth bass was the two things that you caught mostly in that river. And the carp, I didn't like eating them, but I didn't mind catching them. They get pretty big.
Okay. And what did you do with the carp after you caught them?
Well, once in a while I take them home and clean them, but probably not too often. But when I went down to the big river, the Wabash River, then we started getting to channel cat. Then we would eat them because they were pretty good.
Okay.
I did a lot of that. Wading the rivers was wading creeks. When I always running as a kid, wading in the rivers and the creeks and swimming in the limestone quarries.
Okay. So you did go to school, of course,
Yeah,
and that was in Huntington also?
yeah. I went to two different schools. In grade school, we started out at State Street School. That only went up to the fourth grade, and then you had to go to Lincoln School from the fifth grade on up to eighth grade.
For the middle school?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I had to walk to school all the times. I remember when I was at State Street School, there's a grocery store right on the corner by the school, and every time I would go home, I had 17 cents. I'd buy a quart of buttermilk, and I would drink that on the way home. All the other kids said, buttermilk, you drink that stuff? I liked it.
So the other than that, what was the population of Huntington at the time?
Oh, around, seems like it was like 14,000, something right around there.
And this was, you're talking about when you were 10 years old or
Yeah.
younger?
Yeah.
Okay. And now in 2019, what do you think the population, how much has it changed?
I think it's up to around 17 right now.
So it hasn't really grown.
Yeah, not too much. But the other bad thing about that too is the fact that a lot of industry has left. There used to be a lot of companies there manufacturing stuff.
Like which companies?
The Orton Crane and Shovel Company and Caswell Runyon that made Seaberg cabinets for the record players. And stuff
Okay.
you see in this. And then they had a shoe company there, Leather Works. But most all that is gone.
So most of the people that lived in Huntington, they were employed.
Yeah, they employed at them companies, or a lot of them drove to Fort Wayne to work, which is 25 miles away.
Okay.
That where they had bigger industry there.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your favorite food.
I don't know. I like. I have to think of it, but.
I remember you saying something about spaghetti.
Oh yeah, I like the spaghetti, and we used to make a lot of homemade spaghetti sauce for it. But I like that. And one thing that we had when I was a kid is interesting. Every spring, Grandma Mitten and my mom would go out in the park across the street from our house and get dandelion greens, and we would have dandelion greens, as a vegetable
Okay.
mixed with the eggs and stuff like that.
What about steaks and eggs?
Oh well, I like the eggs and steak.
Mashed potatoes, gravy.
Yeah, mashed potatoes and gravy was probably one of the good things there, but what the heck, I used to have a lot of cereal.
Okay.
I like cereal. And we used to do a lot of road oats, and I can't think of the one is the wheat.
Wheaties?
No, it's the one you mix with water and cook.
Oh, the Quaker Oats?
Yeah, Quaker Oats is one like that.
Okay.
And,
And do you still like those
Yeah.
food items?
yeah.
And your favorite colors?
I don't know. I guess it's got to be green and blue.
Okay.
Green for the forest and blue for the water. I like them combinations.
How about your favorite animal?
Oh, my favorite animal. I gotta get out of the way here. The sun's getting too bright in my eyes. I liked all kind of animals. When I was a kid, I had a dog called King. He lived to be 16 years old. He grew up with me. I was 9 months old when I got that dog, and he died when I was in my almost 17 years old. So I had him practically all my young childhood. Everywhere I went, he went. And the interesting thing is that we had a asbestos company that made brake linings, clutch linings for vehicles.
Okay.
They put their scrap material out in the back, and it wasn't fenced in, and that stuff is terribly hot, and you don't see it because there's a crust over it. Well, I went out there with the dog and I stepped on that stuff, and I'm barefoot, and break down through it, and I burnt my feet real bad. Couldn't hardly get home, and the dog got his feet burnt too.
Wow.
And that's something that was, to me, is so surprising that the company didn't get really sued, because they should have had a fence around it and not let it been open to the public.
So how long did you and the dog suffer from that?
Oh, that took me, had sore feet there for about a month. It took a while, about it, you know. Blistered the bottom of my foot and the top.
Same amount of time for the dog too?
No, he just peeled off. His little pads peeled off. And had a new growth underneath of it.
Okay.
It worked pretty good. He got better off than I did.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's continue on with your dad's family. Tell us about your parents and your relatives.
Well, my dad's name was
Francis.
Monroe Mitten,
Okay.
and my name was Ronald Monroe Mitten. So they kept his middle name too. And my mom's name was Leona,
Okay.
but her maiden name was Baby. And they were both from pretty good sized families, and we always had a lot of family relationships back. That's back before we had TV, and families got together a lot. Once a year for family reunions, and then you'd get together for playing cards, pinochle or penny ante or rummy.
And tell us a little bit about spending time with your uncles and aunts and their families.
Well, I remember staying at my uncle's house a few times. They lived out on a farm, but we always had the family reunions, the get-togethers, and we always had once in a while you come to your house, or we go to their house, and they'd be playing cards. And my one uncle, Uncle Ralph, she called him Skeets. He was a musician. He had his own band. He played country music for years, for over 60 years. Skeets and the Circle Bar Boys. And I always loved listening to that music, and I still love it.
And he worked at the radio station too, right? Or
What's
played at the radio station?
Yeah, he played at the Marion radio station, WBAT, I think it was called. It was the name of the radio station. And he played every Saturday at, I think, from 11 o'clock to noon. Then he'd go around to different places, and Saturday evening with their bands playing at various clubs like Elk Club, Eagles, or any other place for entertainment. People would come around from all over to hear them and sing, and then they'd dance, country dances.
And what was your favorite song that you used to request?
Oh, yeah. My favorite song was I was a kid for some reason. I don't know why it would be, but it was called the Freight Train Blues. And I would write a letter to him when he was at Marion radio station. I'd write a letter to him, and every month he would read that letter to him. He would say, I got to do a song for my nephew here called the Freight Train Blues. So
And he called you what, Ronnie?
He called me Ron.
Okay.
Ronnie, yeah, they're usually
Okay.
Ronnie. Yeah, my dad called me Cricket, and my cousin called me Doc, and my aunts and uncles, a lot of them called me Ronnie.
Okay. So your uncle, he would play at the radio station sometimes. In the evenings, would he play at the bars and
Yeah,
restaurants?
bars and clubs like the Eagles Club and the Elks Club.
Okay.
Do live music. And he did that for over 60 years.
Wow. And I understand you got into playing the guitar also.
Yeah, that's when I started. I started out playing ukulele when I was probably about 10, I guess, somewhere around there, 9. Played that ukulele for a while, and then when we got enough money together, I got a low cost guitar and started practicing on that. Since then, I've got more nicer guitars, but unfortunately now I don't practice to play it as much, and I lost all my calluses off my fingers, so I'm going to have to rework it.
That's wonderful.